Hey everybody, welcome back to Shoot the Veil. We have Angela Shae with Social Templates on today, and you are going to be blown away by the level of information that she brings. Everything from Instagram is now changing the way it interacts with Google. Your stuff is going to be searchable in some really cool ways. Angela's going to unpack that. All the way from that down to little tips and techniques on how to get your reels seen, how to be consistent. She's got some amazing ideas. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome to Shoot the Veil, a mobile app made by wedding photographers for wedding photographers to help inspire you to create and equip you to grow. I'm Sam.
And I'm Donnie, and this podcast is about wedding photography as an art and as a business.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Shoot the Veil podcast episode. Today we have Angela Shae with Social Templates. Angela, thanks for being here.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
So great. We met Angela sometime last year when kind of Shoot the Veil was brewing and turning into what it is now. And it was an immediate connection. And we love just meeting like-minded people who want to serve the same kind of people. Angela has the same heart and is trying to help wedding photographers and photographers all over the world. And she's made an amazing product. I use it. It saves tons of time. And so she's going to hop on today, and we're going to talk about a lot of just fun ways that we can kind of elevate our Instagram game through Instagram Reels and all that good stuff. So, Angela, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited
Yes.
for this chat.
I am too. We were in WPPI, I guess a couple months ago now, and we had the opportunity to meet in person, and I was even more just like, you've got to be on the podcast. There are some companies that are, I don't know how to explain it, very pushy towards like just making a sale, but meeting you actually were solving a problem and you were confident in your product. That's a little more rare than like you think. So much so that when we were at your booth and I was just walking up to your booth, friends and other photographers that I knew would sit there and try to just like help everybody that came by. Hey, do you have social templates? Like Angela, you wouldn't even be there, and we'd be somewhere like in one of the hallways and like, oh yeah, do you have social templates? And I thought, oh my gosh, she's built something that people actually use and love. So
That's huge.
Honestly,
It is
that
huge.
was such a humbling moment for me to like get to experience that from the side, like watching people talk about social templates. I literally cried. Like I stepped away from the booth and I just kind of took a moment to
Aw.
like take it in, and I teared up and I was like, wow, this is so crazy to have so many people that I admire and look up to over there, like even at my booth, or like people were sending me videos of other people like talking about social templates at parties that I wasn't at. I was like,
Wow.
this is insane.
Wow.
no, seriously.
so
I
humbling
witnessed
and-
that.
I want to hear, okay, so let's assume I know nothing about social templates. Give me some insight into what they were saying. Like, why would someone be such a raving fan that they're talking about you behind your back in that way? Like promoting
What
you.
problem?
What are they saying?
Yeah.
What is it like, oh, dude, you got to check this out. What is it they would say in that paragraph?
They would say, oh, it's the fastest way to make reels. Like you don't even leave Instagram. Everything's right inside of Instagram. They make the reels for you every week. There's new content. They're figuring out what music is trending. It's beat match. You just pop in your photos and posts. Like
Yeah.
I think the simplicity and the ease of use was like what people were like, this is not another app. Like everything's right inside of Instagram. You're not going anywhere. And there's new content every week. So
Just pop in and post.
Literally.
Is that your tagline?
maybe it should be.
I love it.
I mean, I did it the other day. I was just like, oh, I have a whole bunch of photos I need to be posting. Went to social templates, found one I liked.
Okay.
And literally had it done in 5 seconds.
I think
5
I
minutes.
saw that reel. Like,
Yeah.
because I see
I
your
put a
stuff.
pinned comment. I was like, hey, thanks to social templates.
I totally saw that. It was different. It was like, it was trendy. It was like
It's like, wait a minute, Sam's
what
actually cool
everybody's
here.
doing. Like, well, Sam stepped up his game
Boy,
today.
Sam stepped up his game. It's
Too
amazing.
kind.
That's funny.
Too
Okay.
kind. Thank you.
Well, Angela, we have a lot of people that want to learn how they can optimize their Instagram. And so I have a few questions for you in regards to that. One of those questions is, what do you feel what are some things that wedding photographers are doing that are like actually throwing off their game instead of building it, and like could be helping their Instagram?
Okay, so we can go into like a couple different bullet points here because I have so much I can say on this topic. I think the first one I see is they're just sharing like a photo slideshow with no context. And it's easy to do, right? You're like excited about previews, you want to share some photos, but you have to think about how people are consuming the content, right? They're scrolling through the feed. They probably just watched a cooking video. There's probably some travel content, and then your photo reel just popped up next. And there's no context. There's not value that they're adding. They're not using reels as lead magnets. So a lot of times photographers will focus on a reel just as like a portfolio piece. I'm going to put this on my feed and it's going to look nice and people are going to sit here and admire my photos. But reels specifically are such a strong marketing tool, especially if they're packaged correctly. So you have to package your reel in a way where you use it as a lead magnet when it goes out into the world. So when you're putting it out there, make sure that it's savable and shareable and there's context, like there's text on screen that like hooks people in order for them to watch the entire reel. And I feel like I've said this on every podcast I've been on, but like watch time is the most important metric to keep an eye on. So if you have too many photos and it's too long, the watch time is what, like the percentage of the reel that's being watched is what dictates to the algorithm whether or not people are interested enough to watch it to the end and rewatch it. And so if you have even amazing photos, but the reel is not packaged in a way that is engaging and fun and has context and keeps somebody reading, maybe there's a caption that has like tips on how to schedule your timeline so that your day goes smoothly, or things to remember the day before the wedding, that has somebody like pausing and spending time on your reel, that will increase your watch time. Or if your photos are just like really epic, but you share not like 50 photos, but like 12 to give people like a taste of like, this is what it looked like, this is what my work looks like. And then you use the reel as the lead magnet to drive traffic to your page. And then once people end up on your account, they can binge the rest of your content. They can watch, like swipe through your carousel posts, and then kind of, get to know who you are by like seeing the rest of your content. So I think that's really big, is understanding how to package a reel in order for it to perform well, understanding like what metrics are important to keep an eye on. So watch time, saves and shares. Is there any reason someone would share your post, send it to someone else, or bookmark it for later?
Yeah.
And the other thing photographers, especially wedding photographers, I think that they're missing out on is they want to only use photos in their reel. They think that like, okay, I'm posting a reel, I have to have photos in it. Or you don't even have to have photos in your reel at all to make a successful reel that's going to drive engagement and people are going to find you as a photographer. You can have a 5-second video moment that you shot at this reception that was maybe in an olive grove, and you have a strong on-screen hook that says, okay, like this is 5 venues I love in Southern California, right? If a bride is planning her wedding or they're thinking about getting engaged, she's going to bookmark that because she's like, this photographer knows the best venues in the area. And you don't even have to show any photos. You just have like a beautiful video, some trending music, and a caption that's full of like value. Maybe you even tag all the venues you love so that they can reshare it. But that you didn't show any photos. You didn't show your photo work, but you're already positioning yourself as an authority in the space. Like, the market, the venues, you have planners that you're connected to. And that alone, right? If someone interacts with your post, they bookmark it, Instagram is going to start showing them more of your content. Even if they like just watch your post to the end, rewatch it. Now Instagram knows this person that randomly saw your post on Instagram, they're going to try to show them more of your content. And all of a sudden, it's like this organic thing that happens on the back end of the algorithm. Next reel they might see by you is going to be a photo reel. And now they're like, oh, this is that same person that was sharing, valuable information. Their work is also beautiful. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 times to see your content before they actually follow. So that's another one. I'm just going to like bullet point list things here.
All ears. Do it. Yes.
I also feel like a lot of times photographers will see what's working for other photographers and they think that that's the shortcut, right? They see like, okay, this trend is working. Maybe if I just like do this trend my content will explode. Maybe like I see this photographer that posts a lot of like funny stuff, so I'm going to try to be funny and like repost the same stuff. And so a lot of times we get so distracted by seeing what's working for other people in their content, and we try to copy it and jump on these different trends, not understanding, first of all, why is it working for them? Why is it resonating with them, with their audience? And how long did it take for them to create this community and this cult following that engages with that type of content? And so we'll see like a post, maybe like a trend that someone shares, and we're trying to do it and replicating it, but we're not seeing the same results. Or you just like randomly get inspired once, and you're trying all these things hoping that something sticks and something's going to resonate. But what you need to understand is a lot of times these photographers that are getting a lot of views, a lot of engagement, simply posting a reel that's trendy and relatable once is not going to create that engagement for the rest of your content. They're probably showing up on stories. They're probably testing like different types of reels. They probably have been consistent with the way that they're showing up. I've seen photographers that post like multiple times a day. They post different reels. They have like a lot of content, and their reels like are getting a lot of reach and a lot of momentum, and they're trying out different things and it's working for them, right? And so someone can look at that and they're like, well, they're just quote unquote consistent, so I'm gonna try to post consistent and do all these different things. But you don't understand like your actual audience. What does your people relate to? And there's also like a moment of like training the algorithm a little bit as well. So when you don't post for a long time and then you like randomly sporadically get inspired to post, it takes the algorithm like a little bit of time to actually like relearn like who interacts with your content, how do they respond to this, what type of content are you posting, versus someone who consistently posts. They already have those like connections where, you know, I mentioned earlier, like if someone sees your post, then the algorithm will like show it to them more frequently. And so when photographers are just like jumping around all these different trends and not actually understanding like who they're speaking to, who's their ideal audience, and not engaging on the other like parts of Instagram. So actually commenting to people, posting on stories, and creating their own community, that's really distracting. And I feel like this is like a trap a lot of people fall into. This is even something like we see with our users, right? They're like, I'm going to get social templates and I'm just going to start like posting a ton, but there's like no thoughtful strategy behind it. They also haven't connected with their audience in a really long time. Wow. And so just sporadically starting to post isn't actually a strategy. And so understanding your messaging at the core is so important. Like, who are you speaking to? Are you talking to the brides? Are you talking to the planners? Are you trying to build relationships with venues or whatever it is, and making a reel that's specifically talking to like your ideal people and who you're trying to build these connections with? And you can have like reels that are speaking specifically to planners, and then ones that are connecting with your brides and giving them ideas. But at the core of everything, reels are a strong marketing tool, and so you have to like understand the basics of like marketing strategy. And
yes,
you can't just speak and like yell into this void, and when you're talking to everyone, right, you're talking to no one. So it's actually being strategic about like who it is that you're trying to attract with your reel, and then speaking to them in the way that you package your content.
Hey guys, real quick, just to interrupt the podcast. We were talking about ways to see this grow. We're so excited to have an impact in a real way on the wedding photography world. We want to see it grow and become all that it's supposed to be, and you become all that you're supposed to be. One of the coolest things that we could see you do right now is give a 5-star review, subscribe to the podcast. That tells Apples and Spotify's and all that it's cool, that other people might like it. So that would mean the world to us, and I think it would mean a lot to the wedding photography world. So thank you for your support. Now back to the show. I feel like I just got more insight in 5 minutes than I have in 5 years of caring about this at all.
100%.
That was so good. Like, and it, as a marketer, I help brands figure out this stuff in their marketing, their messaging, their advertising, all the big things that a brand might do. But what I've never connected Instagram to the same questions I ask people in their big brand questions. So like, who are you talking to? What problem are you solving? Why should they care? you framed it as like, why would they save this? Why would they share this with a friend? You have to say these things. Like, if you're a bride, if your target is brides, posting the 5 top venues in my community, now I'm thinking about, hey bride, you should save this post. Hey bride, you should share this with your wedding planner. You should. It's giving them a reason, and you're intentionally going into it with that in mind. You're going to write things differently than just, I need to show up every day 10 times or whatever.
It also inspires me, and this is the first time I'm hearing it too, is the fact that you're saying that even if someone doesn't follow me and they see me on their Explore page or just on the Reels page and they interact with it, maybe they watch it twice, like you say, the watch time, how much seconds is each user average watching, right? They're more apt to see me in their Reels page, in their For You page later down the road, even without even following me. I didn't know that, but it totally resonates because there's creators that I'm sitting watching Instagram and their Reels, even though I don't follow them, follow me.
They're always there. Yeah,
they follow me, right? So they are just chasing me down, and I see them all the time, and it's because I've interacted with one of the Reels. And they don't even have to follow me. I don't have to be following them. That's happening.
You shared it with me or something.
I shared it. I sent it to you. I sent it to my wife. I sent it to whoever. And now I'm being followed by their content. That's genius. So this begs a question that I had kind of coming into this. What should photographers be focusing on? Posting a couple Reels a week and hoping to go viral and like have a couple viral clips? Or should we like focus on posting in the morning and the evening every day and roll the dice, so to speak, over and over again? Is there over posting and is there under posting?
So I never encourage virality, and maybe like I'm wrong here, but that's just, I don't think it's good for your account. I don't think chasing virality, like planning your content to just be like, what's the next viral reel I can create? Things go viral for like different reasons. Obviously a lot of times like very controversial hooks will go viral, or content that's like a meme, relatable, funny. So like if your reel goes viral, first of all, there's like a lot of statistics about like it doesn't actually bring in bookings, right? You might get a lot of new followers maybe, but then like if they're there just for like that type of like viral content, they're expecting that you're going to provide that similar style of content. And is that like what you are leaning into? Is that like the type of content you want to be creating? And maybe it is. Maybe your whole thing is polarizing ideas about weddings. I don't know. But so I don't necessarily encourage that, also because if your account is flooded with followers that are only looking for that specific content, now when you post your normal content, they're not going to engage with it, right? Which is going to signal to the algorithm, because again, when you post something, it gets shown to like a very small percentage of your followers. If they respond to it, then it gets pushed out to more people and more people. So if your content gets pushed out to these people that are following you and they're no longer interested in that type of content, in the end, you're kind of hurting yourself, because the algorithm's like, well, nobody's actually, your followers don't even resonate with this, so it's probably not relevant. Which, I mean, there's like, obviously like monopolies, what's the word?
I know what you're talking. Yes.
Where like it could work. But anomalies. That's what I was
Anomalies.
Oh, okay, yes. There are anomalies.
Like one-offs where it could like, your reel can, end up on the Explore page and get a lot of traction like differently. But again, if you're building this connection and you're wanting your community to resonate with your content, I don't encourage you to focus on creating viral content. That said, we hear people say consistency, right, is important. What does that mean? A lot of times photographers get like really excited about that. Their consistency. I need to post 5 times this week, every week. And so they do that for 2 weeks. They haven't posted for like 3 months. Then they get excited about consistency. They post for 2 weeks straight, and then they get burnt out, exhausted. They get busy, and now their account is dead again. That is worse than if you were to post twice a week consistently for 4 months. So you are always trying to train the algorithm to like understand your content, to understand who it's resonating with. And so it's better in the long run. So like it doesn't always feel as rewarding, right? You like post and it's like there's not a lot of maybe engagement right away. Especially, I think this is another thing for people to know, is if you have neglected Instagram for a while, it's gonna take time to build that back up. Like whenever you take a break, whenever you're not posting for a while, it takes time to build that up, and you just have to kind of like be okay with that. And then also, if you are actually trying to be very strategic, I actually just saw this morning. The Instagram, like the CEO of Instagram was talking about this. He says post 5 times a day, which is like really crazy, right? But he said the idea there was like post 5 times a day for 30 days, for 90 days, whatever it is that you can commit to. And then start seeing like what it is that your audience responds to. Because although I make reels for a living, like this is what I do, maybe your specific audience responds more to carousels. And some photographers have seen that. For some photographers, carousels just work better. They get better engagement. And so when you start posting different type of content...
It's because they're not using social templates.
Maybe.
That's right.
But you have to... Like, the more content you put out, the more you're able to analyze what your people, your community responds to. Maybe they love seeing the behind the scenes that you're getting from your meta glasses, right? There's like no photos there even. They're just like fun, like this is how I interact with clients. This is what the experience looks like. And they want to like peek behind the curtain. And you maybe post that type of content, and all of a sudden you see that this is like resonating so much more than, you know, a talking head video maybe for you in a reel.
Right.
Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe every time you notice that you post yourself in the reel, maybe you have behind the scenes of you actually shooting, and then you show the photos that you got. Maybe those reels all of a sudden like really resonate. So there isn't an exact number. This is how much you should be posting. But it all comes down to consistency that is sustainable long term. So if you can do 3 times a week, and that's all you can do, that's fine. But if you are, you know, maybe batching your content and you can do more, and then you're going back and you're analyzing. And I think the best part here is nobody actually remembers everything you posted. Most people don't even see everything you posted. So if you see a reel that's performing like 5% better than the rest of them, repost it again a month later. Like, nobody's going to come after you and be like, bro, I saw you post that already.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank
nobody
you
cares.
for that. That's so validating. Honestly.
Nobody cares. Nobody remembers.
Yeah.
And
You're one of 2,000 people they follow.
If the consistency is at stake, it's better to post something you previously have posted.
That's
To repost.
resonated.
You're the first person to tell me that consistency is dynamic in a way of like, if I were to come in and I'm like, that's it for the next week, I'm going to post every day. And then for 3 weeks after that, I don't post. It's actually cannibalizes my growth in a way because I was going somewhere, but it would have been better for me to post twice a week for
Just pace it out.
Pace it out.
Yeah.
And that will be more rewarding for me than just doing a blitz and then stopping.
Okay, so let's talk to that photographer who's just starting. They're like, okay, I'm going to make it in this wedding industry. I've done a few weddings. 3 pieces of advice. What should they think first?
So first thing, you want to make sure you are capitalizing on that post-wedding high, right? Like everyone wants to see something from that wedding. People that weren't at the wedding, that weren't invited, high school friends, college friends, relatives, people that like have just been following your journey, right? A lot of times you'll like share about your engagement. So there is this like high that happens right after a wedding where everyone is stalking the couple to be like, what did their wedding look like? Who was there? What did the bride look like? And so if you are a new photographer and you're not riding that post-wedding high with your content and funneling people into your account, this is where you're missing out. So you should be, a lot of times when you're just starting out, maybe you're not working with wedding planners, but if there's anyone, obviously there's different vendors, there's like florists, there's makeup artists, make sure you're including all of them in the tags and the collaborations. Posting content within 24 hours is crucial. So whether it's like just posting stuff to your stories, making a reel right away, or just even like, honestly, those 2 things, stories and making a reel right away or some sort of sneak peeks, this is how you're going to get people funneling into your account. Because if you are the first one to share something, you are the one that's going to get all the traffic to your account. this
Yeah.
is how we see content creators. I don't know if this like is happening like nationwide now, but in California specifically, like we get content creators, right, that are like hired alongside wedding
we see 'em here.
photographers
Oh yeah.
because they want content immediately. They want sneak peeks, they want behind the scenes, and a lot of times the reels that go viral from that wedding are from content creators because they're
Yeah.
just put together first. They're out
They're
there.
faster.
They're
Yes.
faster, and they're, you know, tagging, they're collaborating on those posts. And by collaborating on the post, basically like making sure that like when you go to tag someone, you actually invite them as a collaborator. And then if they accept that collaboration, then it's also shown to their audience. And on that note, actually, I'd like to share something. For collaborator posts, this is something we've been kind of seeing across the board, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that the information is the person that has like the most followers, they should be the ones that post the content in order for it to get the biggest reach.
Ooh.
But a lot of
Interesting.
times the photographers are the ones with the bigger followers if you're working with
Yes.
like venues and planners and stuff. So either way, like photographers, even if you don't have the most followers there, still encourage you to hop on that and make sure that you're the first to share something. Because
Yeah.
now everyone is you're gonna get organic traffic. You're gonna organically increase your reach, right? Your reel is gonna get views just from people like sending it to each other. Oh, did you see Brittany got married? Oh, did you see they had
Yeah.
that champagne tower? Like, oh, we want this at our wedding too. Oh, did you know who her photographer was? So if your reel, again, like being shared for whatever reason, that's still gonna be good for you.
Cool.
And that excitement that
And across
everyone
all the
has.
other content you may post in the future too. It boils down to this: these 24-hour sneak peeks benefit everything in your
For
business
sure.
and
Yeah.
your clients.
It's huge. You got to do it.
You've got to do it. The 24-hour sneak peeks. I mean, literally, what you just said is enough reason to do it. But now you get to serve your clients more, and all of the vendors, they get to have it immediately because everybody's hungry for it.
I could see doing stories like the night of the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm so drawn to what you said about having a call to action in what you're posting. You could have follow to see sneak peeks in your story the day of the wedding.
Right, with
And
just
I'm following
iPhone
you, so I
content.
see it tomorrow.
With just iPhone content.
Yeah.
It's 'cause, like you just said, Angela, it
the
doesn't
moment.
have to be pictures. Like just because we're photographers doesn't mean it has to come out of our camera.
Dude, I would love to be like see a story of a photographer showing like back of camera.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to edit these. Y'all follow me. You'll see them tomorrow.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
I'd follow.
Yeah.
If I love that
Absolutely.
bride. Yeah. For
You
sure.
ever like watch like a movie clip on your Instagram, and then right before the big final moment in the movie clip, they're like
Yeah.
follow for more. Go to my page to watch the
Oh,
other
it's
one.
so annoying.
It gets me every
It
time,
gets me, it's
especially if it's a
annoying.
movie I like. I'm like,
Or, you know what's great though when they say part 2 already posted, right? Like,
Yeah.
Or part 2 is gonna up in an hour. So then people are like, okay, well, I do want to see what and part 2 could
Yeah.
be like your edited photos. Working on those as we speak, uploading
Yeah.
those in an hour. Come back. That's
Yes.
I feel like that's good.
That's cool.
We've also had, sorry, this is going to be me tooting my own horn here, but Vanessa Joy was like, hey, I was able to create a reel with social templates as I got back to my car and post sneak peeks the same day. Like, it's like everything's beat
That's
matched.
insane.
I have behind the scenes, and I'm just going to drop it into a social template, and you're ready to
Perfect.
post. Like, you didn't have to, go home and do this massive workflow to get a reel up. Just
It is-
whatever
I
you
have-
have on your phone.
embarrassingly enough, spent 4 hours on one reel before. Like
That's a reason not to do reels.
that's a reason not to do reels, and just for it to maybe get 1,000 views. Like 1,000 views is still 1,000 views, but then I go and I post one clip with one text on the screen, and it gets 2.5 million views. And I'm like, what I take away from that is that it's not the quality of the reel, so to speak. What I think is quality, but for me, it's editing it in Premiere Pro and color grading it and all this jazz just for it to flop. The quality does not indicate the success of the reel.
Yeah.
It's literally just making enough content consistently and
Yeah.
easily so that I can focus on other things in my business. Because quite frankly, I've got to be home editing the actual photos rather than taking 4 hours out of my week and my client's week, essentially, by making a reel when I can just hop on and do it really fast. So quantity over quality and having a consistency that is manageable seems to be the key to success here.
Well, and I think another thing to note is when your content is shot on an iPhone, if you have just simple behind the scenes iPhone footage, it feels more native to the Reels space. So sometimes if your content is like overproduced and like really high quality, unless you're like a travel influencers where their content is always like super polished, but like if your content just feels like it belongs and it's not an ad or it's not too like professionally executed, people naturally are just going to relate to it more. You're all of a sudden like more relatable. Oh, there's a photographer that's showing, you know, his process, or this wedding that he just shot. I love that idea. I love that detail that they had in their wedding. And iPhone content, I know a lot of photographers just want all of their social media content to be like super professional, but this iPhone content is actually what connects on like a more human level, and it's more relatable and it feels natural to the real space. Yeah. And I feel like that's why we see ads that do so well when it looks like it's just like another piece of content that like an influencer created, and halfway through it you realize, oh wait, they're trying to sell to
Less
me.
is more. Less is more.
I want to bring up a thing. You mentioned collabs a second ago. I want to throw this in there. Miles Whitboyer, you know Miles. That may have been how we connected, actually.
It might actually. I think it
Miles
is.
is the best.
Miles is awesome. He gave some content for our STV 30 season that we did in February, and I'd never heard this before. I'd love your take on it. But he said it's better to not collaborate than to collaborate and not get accepted. So what he does is reaches out, he texts all the people that he's going to collaborate with and makes sure they're cool with it. Because if they're not, he's not going to put their name on it. Do you have any insight on that? Honestly, and don't say he's wrong publicly, because I just totally threw him out there.
No, I've heard that. I haven't tested it. So I feel like I can never like go on and confidently say something that I haven't tested. But I have heard that theory, and that people that have tested it, that's the results that they're seeing.
Either way, it's a classy move to reach out to the wedding planner and the florist and everybody. It's still classy to say, hey, I'm going to do this. Would you guys like to be involved? That's still kind of a pro move either way. Yeah.
And I think Miles is probably someone that is very smart with like analytics and probably understands his metrics. And he's probably right there. Yeah.
Phew, good. Okay. Good job, Miles. That was close.
All right. This is a hot take question. Can a wedding photographer have an Android?
Oh shoot, am I gonna get canceled?
Oh man, let's see.
I mean, are you a professional?
She said it.
Wow.
She said
all right. Thanks everybody. Good to see you.
Right. This is exactly why Shoot the Veil isn't available on Android.
Wow. Yeah.
It's true though. Okay. I'm not crazy. The BTS content from an Android just will not outperform an iPhone.
I just feel like Apple stuff is just built for the creative world.
100%.
And
100%.
If you're not using Apple, then like, I don't know. Are you taking yourself seriously?
She said it. I didn't say it. She said it.
Don't cancel me,
I agree.
please.
Wow. Is Instagram available on Android? We should double check.
Yeah. Can you even have Instagram on an Android? No, seriously. You've gotta have an iPhone for these things. I'll be polarizing. It looks like a joke when you shoot like behind the scenes content with your Samsung QXZ23 5000. Get an iPhone.
We're just going total polarizing today.
Yeah, we're just
That's okay.
Polarizing. We're going to do it.
If you have an Android and you are killing it right now, we would love for you to post in response to this and
come on,
show us what's up.
Give a 5-star review to this podcast while you're at it. Oh, amazing. Okay.
Where are things going next? You've seen we're sort of like almost halfway into 2025, it feels like. We're definitely in the prime first wedding season. We have the fall one coming up. Any things that we need to be really paying attention to?
Trends or like...
I think with social media specifically, well, Instagram is releasing their new edits app any day now.
Yep.
We're on the edge of our seats. So if you are experiencing like weird glitches that are happening in your Instagram Reels app specifically, it's because they're doing a bunch of things that are affecting a whole bunch of people. And our customer support has been
April
real
28th.
fun.
Oh, wow.
April 28th. Here we go.
Okay.
I mean, they've been saying that since end of February. So
True.
it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the new editing app. We're excited to see because I feel like there's going to be so much more capabilities of like what you can do. So content creation is not going anywhere. Video content is not going anywhere. So if you are still like digging your heels in and not wanting to like get on board and like embrace that this is like the world we live in, you're going to get left behind. So, you know, video content is not going anywhere. What we see a lot though is as humanity, like a society, we shift and we get really used to certain trends and we stop responding to them. So for a while we were seeing content that was like 5 tips for this and this, or, you know, and we like really responded to that. We were all about that, like lots of education, like give me all the tips, how to like do this thing and then we got like really
Oversaturated and burnt out. Yes.
Burnt out. We saved way too many how-tos videos.
Yeah. Right.
And then as society, we start to disassociate. And in this year specifically, we've been seeing a lot of shift towards comfort content creators. So
Okay.
anyone
Unpack that. What is that?
Anyone that makes you feel happy, at ease, accepted, like when they come to see your content. So a lot of it is not like I-centric content, but we-centric. Like this is what I would recommend you do in your morning routine to feel more productive, and content that feels relatable and like a comfort binge. So you know, you're like content creator that's gonna share like insider information. It's not pushy, and you come there for like a hit of like dopamine. Like this feels safe. This feels warm, inviting. A lot of like what we saw at the end of like 2024 with like the cottage core type of like content that just like really resonates. Like we are all longing for like a warm hug on like this cold social media platform. And so content creators that are leaning into that more. So, you know, without it being like pushy or salesy, you're not seeing that type of, like, they don't even talk about what they sell anymore because you already know where to find it. If you go to their link in bio, you'll know like where to find their stuff. So they don't have to sell with all of their posts, but instead it's more community driven. And we're longing for that like human connection and those comfort creators that like, you know, every day, again, consistency, you know that they're posting something, they're going to share a part of, I don't know, like their flow of productivity that they're like leaning into, or their habits that are making their life more calm, right? Like we've seen a lot of shift towards wellness and calmness and rest and like away from the hustle culture in like a healthier way.
Yes.
And so we're seeing that like big shift that's happening on social media as well. So
okay, off the cuff, this is like putting you on the spot. Make up something real quick for the bride who wants that. If my main target is I want brides to be following me because I want clients, how would I do that?
I would lean into something that's, you know, a bachelorette party that is cozy and at home, or like ideas for how to make your guests feel a certain way with like the experience that you're creating for the wedding, or maybe as a photographer, how your experience of guiding them through the wedding planning process is going to put their mind at ease. And these are all the additional support that I like provide. Like here's guides that I will send you. Here's a list of vendors that I will help curate. This is my approach to like helping you plan your engagement session. So kind of leaning into like, how can I be your quote unquote bestie through this like planning process? And obviously it's not going to relate in the same like terminology, especially if like maybe you're a male photographer.
Right.
But going back to Miles, I feel like Miles is like every bride's bestie, right? Because he makes them feel seen, and like in his content, in even the way that he speaks about other vendors and other people, he is able to like curate that like warm, and not curate, I think he's like very authentic in that.
Yeah,
but like
for sure.
creating that experience where people are coming to your account for that type of content. The other thing I would lean into is use Chat GPT to your advantage without like sounding like a robot. So if you are a photographer that's like, okay, like I really want to lean into this comfort creator, how do I do that with my photography? Open up Chat GPT and like share, like, these are my core values. This is the type of bride I'm trying to connect with, and give your Chat GPT like direct instructions on like, hey, pretend
brand
to
voice,
be like, this is my brand voice, like pretend to be like my marketing specialist, and like not just like give me some ideas of how to say it in a specific way, but like being like extra specific. Like, I want to sound warm and inviting, but also like punny, or like whatever like your personality is. And I want to share like these types of resources, or like I want to connect. And so then using Chat GPT to kind of help streamline ideas of how you can lean into that, and then seeing like what actually is feasible with the type of content you provide. And I think a lot of that is going to involve showing a little bit more behind the scenes of you as a human. You can't be a comfort creator with only showing your professional work, right? If we have 3 different photographers, that 2 of them are only showing professional work, but one is also showing the behind the scenes of like, this is the human behind the brand, even though their work is the same, they're at the same price point, like very similar portfolios, but one of them is like showing who they are on camera and showing up and talking about the experience. Naturally, the couple or the bride is going to gravitate towards the person that already feels familiar. Like, I've seen you online. I've seen how you interact with your clients. I've seen how much heart you pour into what you do. It could even be like talking about, you know, this is like the deliverables. Here's like, I send like some free prints and a thank you card, and like we box it up and we add some chocolates, and like this is the package you get. And all of a sudden, like, that bride's like, I want that. I want to be taken care of in that way. And so
That's
I feel
so
like
huge.
this is like me just like
I love this terminology of comfort creator.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because I feel like, and you use the word comfort and you use the word cold. Last year, I was just bombarded with ads. Like, on my For You pages and everything. I call that the Instagram For You page. I know that's technically TikTok, but everyone gets what I'm saying. And although ads work, and they've worked on me, I still, when I find something comforting on my Instagram page, I'm going to sit there and watch it. And it's a little more of a diamond in the rough now. And so finding a way to embrace that warmth in your page, and without boldly selling your product or your service. And you mentioned, like, just whenever I like something and I know they're probably selling it, I can go to their Instagram bio and find it there. I think that's huge. And I'm loving this comfort create. I'm taking that home, because I think that's going to kind of shift my mindset to how can I make someone take a deep breath when they watch a reel, or when even just like interacting with me. Like, I can think of a few creators right off the top of my head that do it so well. One of them is a florist here in the Memphis area. His name's John Mark. And he has hundreds of thousands of followers, but he never is directly selling a service. It's just his personality that everybody loves, and they get to see that. And he's not always posting his work either. It's just warm. It's that hug. It's that, like, just, I'm safe here. That's huge.
I love that.
Great insight.
I feel the same way about, I don't know if you know who Sinclair and Moore is, Steve Moore, wedding planner from Seattle, now in Texas. And it's the same thing. He has never been like, book me to do your wedding, but he shows the process of like how much heart he pours into like his clients and then into his family. And you know exactly what you're getting if you're going to like book with them. And, you know, I don't need to plan a wedding anymore, but I still religiously follow his content, because I'm like, you just make me feel so warm and happy.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Hey guys, if you're already a member of Shoot the Veil, feel free to skip through this. If you're not, I want to talk to you about something that could change your career as a wedding photographer. Shoot the Veil is a new platform that is built by wedding photographers for wedding photographers. This platform has everything you need, from courses from creators you love, posing and planning, follow-alongs, and exclusive interviews with some of the world's best wedding photographers. And on top of that, we give away some crazy cool gear every month. If you're not in, go check it out and download it now.
There's a lot there. It sounds like that's a new way of Instagramming. It's a new way of existing, and I love that. I think it's going to be cool. But going back to like kind of where you started, what problem were you setting out to solve, and how long have you been doing this? You're seeing it evolve. Like, we haven't even talked about that. Where did you come from? How did you get so smart?
I actually was a wedding photographer myself before I ended up in the social media space. Started out when I was 19, professionally shooting weddings. Really young, very just confident, like in my creative skills, not the technical stuff. But like I was a wedding photographer and got burnt out doing that, and then took a year-long sabbatical to just kind of figure out my life. Actually, like uprooted my whole life and moved to California. Like sold my house fully furnished all within like a week, and
Wow.
packed
Okay,
up my
there's a
life.
story there.
Shut down my website. You couldn't find me as a photographer. It was pretty dramatic.
Wow.
But we kind of I needed to reset and figure out, like, because this is like a story for another time. But I was just like, my whole identity was rooted in my photography work, and I couldn't separate myself. And I also wanted to be like the best mom I could be. So when I was taking my sabbatical, photographers started reaching out and being like, hey, what happened? Where are you? What are you doing now? Can you help with my social media since you're no longer, or like not currently shooting? I need help.
Wow.
This was like 2016. So that was like at the peak of like perfectly curated grids, before carousels, before reels. And so I was managing like 20 different Instagram accounts.
Wow.
Really quickly. Like,
Oh my gosh.
It just kind of like, it happened by accident. But then like I realized there was such a huge need. And people were struggling with like polarizing, like, not polarizing, with like decision fatigue of what they wanted to post, what they wanted their grid to look like, how to speak to their clients. And so I did that manually for people. And then Reels came into the space, and all of my clients wanted Reels. And so I was custom making by hand all of these Reels for all these clients, and we were able to only post them once. So
Yeah.
we knew there was a big problem with like everybody wanted Reels content. And we were doing it manually, and there was not an easy way for us to have like the solution that I was looking for. And that's how Social Templates was born, just like out of sheer desperation of like, I want to be able to use trending audios. I want it to use all the Instagram like built-in features, because also like when you're creating in outside apps, a lot of times like you miss out on being able to like build within the platform, and then Instagram like incentivize you for like using their tools. Also like SEO now, like if we want to like save 5 minutes for SEO, like I'd love to talk about that on Instagram. And so that's how we were solving a problem for photographers that just made reel creation easy, fast, and only because I was looking for that for myself and it wasn't available. And so
Those are the best products.
we built
cool.
it.
That's the best product right there. Okay, dive into SEO. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
let's go.
Instagram is now trying to be like Google and TikTok, right? Like when you can go to TikTok and like search for specific stuff, it like will pop up. So Instagram, just beginning of this year, actually like couple weeks before WPPI, released this new feature where it will analyze your entire reel. It will scan like the on-screen text, the caption, and even like the content. Like it will know what is in the photos, and based on like all the information it gathers on its own, it will attach SEO keywords to your reel.
Wow.
What?
And you don't even
I
have
had
to
no clue.
Okay, well,
I
let me blow
genuinely, this is
your
the first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
let me blow your mind, because it will be so specific. I actually just talked about this at the Shoot Proof webinar. But like we pulled stuff that it was tagging people with. It was say like cozy engagement session at home. Like it was so specific. It'd say spring garden wedding inspiration, not just like spring weddings or garden wedding. It would say like spring garden wedding inspiration. Like it would literally add those keywords. And the way that you can see this is like when you go to tap on your comments, this little search bar pops up. It looks a little bit like the TikTok search bar. And it's just attaching that to your reels on its own. And so we had a photographer that stopped by and was like, I had someone tell me that they Googled Santa Barbara wedding photographer, and a reel popped up that was made with social templates on Google. They tapped on it, like ended up on her Instagram page, booked her as like to shoot their Santa Barbara wedding just from like that search on Google that then is like now pulling Instagram reels. Anyways, Instagram
This is a whole
wants to
nother category. This
That's
is
so
huge.
huge.
I mean, like, whoa.
Instagram
my
wants
first
to-
thought, does this make hashtags dead? Like for Instagram reels?
Yes and no. So like still use hashtags, and so they're kind of contributing to your keywords. So use
Okay.
hashtags as like location based hashtags. So if you're
Okay.
using
Location.
like hashtag competition over or
Community over competition.
community
Yeah,
over
yeah.
competition, that's not doing anything for you. So your hashtags have to be something like your client's actually going to search for. But now you're basically anything that you're putting in your caption, again, like which is why it's so healthy to include resources like these venues that you love, talking about you actually being a wedding photographer in a specific area, because everything now is being scanned by Instagram, and on its own, without you doing anything, it's attaching these keywords to all of your content that you're putting out. This is because this is going to be so great for photographers because it's actually going to help people find your content. So again, the more you post, the more chances of someone coming across your content, right? Because
The more
your
data
keywords,
Instagram gets.
Yep. And this is the part that's going to be even crazier, is that it goes all the way into the comments. So it trickles into the comments. So if someone says, love this photo, the way that you would respond to benefit your SEO would be like, yes, I love shooting at this whatever location at this time of year or whatever. Obviously, try not to sound like
love
a robot.
wedding photography in Santa Barbara,
Yes, I love-
California.
Right. At this venue, spring wedding garden vibes. So
But-
good. Love.
No, yeah, again, like we don't want to sound like robots, but being intentional instead of just
Yeah.
like responding with like an emoji, saying something that's like, yeah, like this is my dream job. I love this, place this time of year or whatever it is, because the more data you're giving Instagram, it's like building all of those like webs, or what are they called? Like when
Yes.
it all like is interconnected and now your content is searchable. So that's just like another reason to keep showing up, even if your reel is only getting 1,000 views. And by only, I mean like 1,000 views is great. Like 1,000 people have seen your content, but now you're just like cataloging more content there that is going to get linked back to your page and your SEO. And
Dude, it's like the Pinterest stuff we've been telling people. Like
Yeah.
it makes your reels a little
Evergreen.
bit more evergreen. Maybe totally just like Pinterest. We've been telling people post here, all these keywords, all the hashtag, all the things, all the descriptions, because it's continually searchable 5 years later. Sounds like reels are going to be that way now.
yep, that's
That's
been a lot of
insane.
focus there.
That's huge.
So during Shoot the Veil 30, I heard you talk about this, and I want to kind of bring it back up. Making content, like posting content, easier for wedding photographers. You gave a couple tips to that about having like a album from in your phone that has all of your content. Do you have, kind of piggybacking on that and maybe elaborating a little bit more, how can we make posting content like practically easier?
So the where photographers quit is the overwhelm. You come back from a wedding and you have 57 videos. And now you're like, okay, great, I've actually captured content. Let's make a reel. And you sit down and guess what? Those 57 videos, they're like 30 seconds, a minute long, whatever it is. You have to watch all of that and you have to figure out like what is actually usable. And now you're like, okay, what trend am I jumping on? What audio am I using? So overwhelm is the first reason photographers quit and don't make a reel. And so what you would want to do is, my tip is when you're downloading images, you're backing up images from that day, open your phone, delete anything that's not going to be used in a reel. You don't need 57 videos. You might just need 7. So anything that's like repetitive, maybe you there's like a person that walked into your shot, delete it immediately. There is absolutely no reason for you to hold on to that content. If anything, you could go to your trash can in 30 days and get it back. But like,
So
you're
good.
not going to, I promise you. And then you're going to take that content, those 7 videos, and you're going to put them in a separate folder on your camera roll. So you're going to select it, use your clients' names and put it in a whole separate folder. That way, when you open Instagram, you're only accessing that folder and you have videos from that day right there. A lot of times when you're opening Instagram and then you see all your recents and then you're scrolling and then you're like, well, maybe I should use something different. Maybe I should go in this direction. Decision fatigue, overwhelm. And then the other thing is having a B-roll content folder. So content that can be used on any reel and any trend. Like it could just literally be you in like looking fresh before you start shooting a wedding day with your camera. You can pair that with any wedding. It doesn't have to be that same day that you shot it. It could literally just be you and text on screen that's like, do this one thing before you book your photographer, or whatever it is that like your on-screen hook is. It could be short, but if you have this B-roll content folder on your phone and you keep adding to it throughout the year, and when you see a trend that you want to engage in, or like an idea of like a piece of content you want to create, you just grab content directly from that folder, and that just like simplifies the process so much. Is that kind of what we were?
Oh, it's so helpful, and you're
good.
preaching to the choir. I did a wedding last week, did 2 photo shoots this week, or I guess past weekend, and I didn't post any BTS from it because I had decision fatigue.
But you had content.
But I had content. I just didn't post it. I just didn't know which one I wanted to post. But if you're right, and I love this, there's the book Atomic Habits, right? Habit stacking is one thing they talk about in this book. But you said, when you're dropping your photos, pull out your phone and start calling through your videos, through your content, and get it ready to go. Like that's an easy habit that, okay, put my SD card in my computer, drop it to my folder, and start going. Makes it so much easier. So
And
that's
I think
a huge tip.
When photographers, it's just social media hasn't been part of the workflow yet, right? We have,
Yes.
like, okay, you back up your images, you get them into Lightroom, you upload, to wherever you're sharing your galleries. But like the social media hasn't been emphasized enough to be a part of the workflow, and it should be, because
100%.
that's how we're marketing now. So
Yeah.
having that flow.
And the photographers that are doing that are succeeding 100%. Like it's a workflow. It's not maybe I'll sit down on the couch and post a reel.
Yeah.
And I talk to these people all the time, and they're like, no. I wake up, I roll over, I post, and then I get my cup of coffee. Like it's a habit. It's a habitual thing for them.
It's
and
work.
Social templates
You're
is
just doing
making
your
that
job.
easier. So, I mean, it's just the truth. And there, guys, use the code STV, hop in, get social templates, please. It'll make your life easier. It'll save you thousands of dollars. I mean, I don't have to use a social media manager anymore. So,
Right.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's huge.
I mean, I'm just letting you know, like paying $1,000 a month now to a lunch, and I get access to all of this. So,
do you hear that a lot? Like comparing what you do with like, well, I have a social media manager.
Don't need 'em.
So one of our actually ambassadors, she's I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to throw her under the bus, but she is a very big photographer. I think one of the top wedding photographers in Canada. Like runs like a massive operation, and she goes, Angela, I just hired. This was like, I think this is last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. She goes, I hired a person specifically for this job. Like her only job was to create reels for me. And she goes, and then the next month I found social templates, and I literally had to fire her. She goes,
Oh my gosh.
you like replaced her job. She's like, this is so easy. Like I
Wow.
literally was like, yeah, there's no reason to have you anymore.
Wow.
save me money.
I've heard this too. That on that note, you made me think. Tell me if this is true. We've seen when we're doing, because we're kind of social medias for managers for other people sometimes.
We as in
My studio. So we've noticed when we post things, it'll do a certain level. When the founder, owner that's connected to the account as like the originator posts the same thing, it will do 10 times better. Have you ever seen that Instagram knows if it's the founder doing it from
like
his
on
or
the
her phone
Yeah.
versus my phone?
Yeah, I'm like afraid I'm going to get some heat for this. So, yes, whenever you are actually logged into your device and you post in real time, and if you hang out on the app for a few minutes, you're maybe engaging with other content, you're immediately responding to comments. Theoretically, it always performs better. Like it's been proven. But I also want to say, like, if you are the person that can't get on and do it, and you have to schedule it. Better to schedule it than to not post at all. So like,
oh, sure.
there's like, I'm like, I have to say this because like scheduling is still good. Like if you can batch and schedule and you're still getting in front of people, but if you log in and you post, even if it's like a pre-planned post that you already have
In your
ready to
drafts,
go
yeah.
in your drafts, and you manually post it, it always does perform better. Like
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Just that's how
The
it
Facebook
works.
robots, they want you active. Like they don't want you fishing this out to
Just
some
like you
farm.
said, the watch time is the most important metric.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for them.
Yep,
Yeah.
How long is
how
Sam
long
on
are you-
Instagram?
And
We're gonna
that's why
reward
You don't want to know.
well, and that's why they like literally have metrics that they send you, like how much screen time you've had,
Right.
how active
You
you've
spent
been.
25 hours yesterday on Instagram. What? Yeah. I have 2 phones. So
25
technically.
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Only you, bro.
Right.
That's funny.
Angela, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share just like, I mean, seriously, that was just like an action-packed 45 minutes of pure knowledge. I might have to go watch it again. But seriously, thank you for your time. Thank you for your heart willing to serve the wedding photographers. And it has just been such a pleasure getting to know you and work with you and collaborate with you.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for this relationship.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me on. Love you both. Like this has been such a great friendship that yeah.
Right back at you.
Right
Right back
back,
at
for
you.
sure.
Everybody watching, go download Shoot the Veil and go get social templates. We have a
First
code for
month
you in the
free.
app. First month free.
You've literally got
Come on.
nothing to lose.
It'll
Nothing
change
to
your life.
lose except followers. So come on and get the app. Very cool. Angela,
Thank you.
thank you again.